Hi, I'm Kelly from Jones Jewellery. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this crazy looking pendant, something a bit different for you this week. I'll put a list of everything you'll need in the description below, along with all the usual links. We've got Facebook, Instagram and Etsy, where I share all my written tutorials if anyone's interested in having a nosy at those. To make this pendant you'll need 0.8mm wire, which is 20 gauge. Today I'm using square, and because I'm using silver I'm using 21 gauge. So I'm using square wire. You can use anything you like. You can use round wire if you like. I'm using the 21 gauge because it just makes it a bit easier for bending silver, because silver is generally quite tough to work with. So I've got 0.3mm wire, weaving wire. I've wound mine onto a bobbin. This is a Bobeeze bobbin by Beadsmith. You just wrap your wire around the bobbin and that sits down by your side, so you can work with the longer lengths and you don't have all that wire flailing about. I've got a little stone today. This is a 10mm round cabochon with a flat back. So you can use a similar size to that if you like, but I would recommend you use that kind of size. So tools, I've got my cutters, my pliers, my round nose pliers and my nylon pliers. If you don't have nylon pliers, don't worry. Oh, out of breath. So these are just for flattening the weaves and straightening wires. So if you don't have those, it's not important. Put your wires to the lengths that I have. Take your 3 base wires, minus square, whatever you've decided to use. Position your thumb kind of centrally on the wires. And we'll start weaving just to the left of your thumb there. So we're going to just attach these wires together. So we'll go 3 times around the bottom wire. We'll go around the bottom 2 wires. Come up between the bottom 2 and we'll go around the top 2 wires. And we'll just repeat that weave. Gracie snoring already. So I've done 10 repeats of that weave. So we finish with a wrap around the bottom 2 wires and then 3 wraps around that bottom wire. Keep pushing your weave together as you go to keep it nice and tidy, and then we'll cut off the wire at both ends. And don't forget to press those little cut ends down. So make sure your weave is nice and central on your wires. Grab the weave centrally and we'll bend a V into that weave. So that's the kind of shape we're looking for. So the V sits below the stone. So move into a flat surface. We'll hold the stone there. We're going to take the wires, take the right wires across to the left. And then take the left wires up straight up the back there. So the left wires are still quite straight. And what we're going to do now, we're going to turn it over and we're going to work on these wires here, which is the left side. So looking at your wires, where the bend is here, that's where the stone is. So right centrally where that stone sits, that's where we're going to start weaving. So we're going to take just the 2 back wires. We're going to leave that front one alone for now, and we're going to weave across just those 2. Your weaving wire. Wrap 3 times around. I'm going to say the bottom wire, but it's the middle wire, isn't it? I'll show you now when I slide it down. So we've wrapped 3 times around. I'm going to call it the bottom wire because we're just working on those 2. So we go around 2 wires, we come up between the 2 wires, then we go around the top and then around the bottom wire. It's a bit tricky of where it is, but it'll get a bit easier as we go. So wrap around the 2 wires, coming up in between the 2, go around the top wire and then around the bottom wire, and we'll repeat that. Keep pushing your weave together as you go. So I've done about 4 centimetres of that weave. And the wires have moved a bit, so I'm just going to move them around. I'm going to pop the stone in so I don't disturb anything. And I'm going to pull these wires over, pulling these wires across the front here. And I'm going to pull that front one just back a little bit out the way. Front one, I mean the left one, so we can access this weave here. So I want it to be quite high, so I reckon about this high. So that is about 2 centimetres from the top of the stone on that weave. And then at that point there, I'm going to grip the weave with my pliers. I'm going to bend it over. I'm going to bend it to the front, so I am going to twist a little bit, and then I'm going to bend that weave over the front of the pliers. And then we need to, continue that weave. So now I know how long I want the weave to be. If the stone's going to sit here, I want my weave to come back down to the stone here, so I'm going to add a few more repeats of that weave. So keep adding weave repeats until you get to, which will be the side of the stone here on this side. So I want that to be quite flat at the top, and then I want this weave to come out to meet on this side. And keep pressing your weave together as you go. So then when weave gets to this side here, we're going to attach the weave to those side wires. So cut your weaving wire and leave just a little bit on there. You need about 4-5 inches of wire. So in order to join to this weave here, I'm going to twist the weave. So I'm going to hold the top at this angle. I'm just going to twist that weave a little bit like that. So now we're going to attach the weave down. So Grace is making as much noise as she can. We want to go in between. Looking at the wires that are going to hold the stone, I want to go in between those two. So that my weave is held in place where I want it to. And I'm going to go through the middle and around, so I'm attaching the weave to those back 2 wires there. So then I'm going to go around just one of the wires, and then I'm going to go back through and around again. So I'm kind of just strapping it down and wrapping around the wires a little bit. You can do a repeat of that weave we did before if you want to try and keep it all nice and in keep with the weave. We just want to attach it to there a couple of times. So we'll cut off the tail end from the beginning of that longer weave. Don't forget to press your little cut end down. Reposition your stone. Have a look at the weave. Make sure the weave sits nice and central. So it's central and it's nice and long. And these two front wires on this side here, they're going to go around the front of the stone. So you've got to hold it all down and carefully take those wires around the front of the stone. You don't want it to pull the stone down, but you want it to hold the stone in place, so you want it to be nice and tight. Bent my weave, so I'm just pulling it back over a bit. So I'm still working on a flat surface because there's nothing at the back to support the stone yet. So turn to the back now. And we'll try and trap the stone in a bit better because it's not held in whatsoever. We've got a bare bit of wire on this side here. So grab that wire and make a gap in the wires just so you can get your pliers in there. That's my nail varnish gone. And then we're going to just pop that wire, pull that wire over the stone a little bit. So you've got this shape here. Turning back to the back. Do the same with this wire on this side. So make a little gap between the wires the best you can. Easier when it's copper. Get your pliers in there and then grip that wire and bend it over the back of the stone. And then looking at these two wires again. So you want to make sure that they are quite far back over the stone. So that one there is quite to the back and this one's at the front. Just so they hold the stone there at the top. And then here, where they come down the side, you need to hold the wires the best you can. So they don't misshape too much when we do this. And we bend that wire through there, through that bottom V. If you wiggle it through slowly, hopefully it should keep most of that shape, she says. So which one's my back wire? So this one's my back wire. So take my back wire first. You want to make sure it's supporting the stone and then bring it out to the side. And then this one, again, give it a little pull so you know it's really holding that stone in nicely. And then bend that wire out to the side. So next we need to cut off this tail end because we don't need that. We need to finish the wraps though, so wrap 3 times around one of your wires. Cut that off. Both of these wires are going to come across the front there. The inner one is going to come and do a little curl, and the lower one is going to go through the gap at the bottom there. I don't recommend that you make this for the first time in silver. So if you are planning to make it, maybe make it in copper first. It's a little bit fiddly in places. And then I'm just going to curl it out to the side there. So I've taken this one around and this one has followed it, but it's gone through the middle, and then I've pulled it around the side and scooped it around like that, and then I shall cut that one. I'll cut this one as well, I think. Take this left bare wire, I'm going to scoop it around and go through. Bringing it around that side. And this wire here is going to come across that side. Go around and through. Try and hold it in place as you pull it around. If you're a bit heavy-handed like me, you tend to bend everything else. So this one then comes across the front. It scoops up here. So this one is going this way, and then this one is going to go this way. So we've got two little curls there, and then these two at the bottom here. Again, keep holding everything else down as you bend your wires, because everything else does tend to move at the same time. I'm going to scoop both of these down. Like that. Cutting the bottom one. Did it cut? Not quite. I'm scared I'm going to cut both of the wires. The longer one goes over the bottom, and that's going to get cut and just bent over the bottom of that V there, and then I can start straightening it all back up, curling all the cut ends. So what I'm doing is I'm just squeezing the wires around the stone and trying to level up this top piece so that it's quite straight. And check the stone is held in at the back. You really need to, when you are securing those two front wires, they need to really hold the stone in at the front and the top there. Then at the back, you need to pull those wires over. You can always exaggerate it. Always hold the opposite end of where you're bending. Really bring those wires over so it's all held in nice and securely. And then with the round nose pliers, we just need to curl some wires. bit of extra support on that stone, and it's pretty secure. But if your stone is a little bit loose, I've been looking at the back, and I'm thinking this wire could easily pull over the stone just to support that back a little bit. Do you know what I mean? And that'll kind of hold it in place there, supporting it at the back a bit better. Don't forget, if you do mark your wire while you're working, as I usually do, grab your nail buffer or a bit of very fine sandpaper and go over the little marks. And then you know that finer one that goes over the top, so you know those square nail buffer things that you buy, you can use one of those. Do it with a little bit of the fine stuff, and then the buffer one on the top, which is quite flat, isn't it, like a rubbery surface. Buffs all the marks out. So I bought my square wire from Rio Grande in America, and all I'm using, I haven't buffed it with the Dremel, I'm just using a silver polishing cloth because their silver is so shiny. So I decided not to oxidise it in the end, and I've just kept it nice and shiny, and it really is really shiny. I hope you found this tutorial easy to follow, and I didn't mess you about too much, keep changing my mind. And I will see you all in the next one. Please mention me when sharing your finished work made from my tutorials, and please don't show images of the back. Thanks everyone. Bye. Bye.